to determine this order. And we're seeing a number of guys already. Oh, she'll go back there. There's a bit of a drive go-karting sandwich there on the screen. They've got somebody locked in the middle there. I can't tell who it is from this angle, if it's the 77 or the 777, but it looks.
We've got someone's taken to the track before the light's gone red.
Someone has taken the track before the light's gone red, have they?
So
and,
green,
right.
sorry.
I just saw it out the corner of my eye. In the fact, it's actually Grant English. So Grant English, he's not going to be able to have this time that he's on track for at the minute confirmed. But he is. In actual fact, I've also got David Keane reporting as on track as well. The session's now just gone green. So Kingshot leads the field out. That's already banked up at the pit exit.
And I myself am in two minds as to whether to let him go or whether he's letting me past. But it looks like he's just taking it nice and easy.
Well, I would say just let him go, get a little bit of a gap. I mean, you probably need to get 3 or 4 seconds between yourselves just to make sure you don't have overlap, because that seems to be what the spread was for most of the quick times on the last qualifying session. Yeah, Grant English is the man who came out. He's on his way now at the moment, according to my track map, to the last 2 turns. And David Keane as well, from what I can see. Yep, so Grant English is crossing the line now. Well, it's actually said that the time is actually registering, so he's...
Maybe just a bit lucky.
Maybe a bit lucky. Let's see if we can follow him for an onboard lap.
Alright, I can't really give too much gap to Kingshot up ahead because the car behind is threatening to pass me, but I think there should be enough if I just wait a little bit on the apex of the last corner.
Righto. Turn 4 now, Grant English just goes a bit wide. He's well clear of the apex, but still plenty of time to find himself a good lap. So he works his way through 5. Through turn 6 now, climbing up the hill, through 7, under the Chevrolet banner. Now this little kink to the right, to the left, sorry, which you're tempted to take a bit quicker than you are, but you actually need to get off the power and onto the brakes because the S's comes up very quickly, turns 9 and 10. Now you're hard on the power, on the run to the final 2 turns. Up through the gears and braking at the 100-metre board for Curva 0. And now for the final turn. And now the run to the line. And let's see what sort of time he's going to put down. Grant English is going to put down a 1 minute 23.5, the first representative time. There's only one man who has not taken to the track, or sorry, one man that has not taken to the track yet, and that's Dwayne Davies. So he's still sat up in the pits at the minute. David Keane will probably be the next man to... he was one of the other guys that was on track a bit earlier than should have been. Let's even look through the field and find who's going to be setting our next time. Here we go. Hobbo goes to the top. Coriot slots in behind.
Shit.
And the times are starting to come now. So Hobbo's got to a 22.0. Lee Sanford there on screen. He's set to 27.0, so he's got plenty of time to find. Philip Boak taking a lot of exit curb there on the last turn, on the run down to the line to start his first flying lap. Matt Williams in that carbon fibre looking short shift podcast racing car. Looking very different to what it was last week. Will Devonish coming to the line. The yellow flag somewhere on track has just been cleared. Devonish with a 23.3, so...
Well, still yellows at turn 1. Philip Boak's gone off at turn 1.
That'll be what the yellow flag is for. Thank you very much, Stairs. Devonish continues to go for another lap. There's the pole sitter from last race. Maloney jumps into first place with a 22.001, so not as quick as what he was for qualifying 1 for race number 1, but he's just 32 hundredths ahead of Hobbo. Not very much at all. In actual fact, now Hobbo puts in a 21.9. Corey Ott with a 21.9. So these guys are really starting to get a wriggle on with their times now. As we watch Will Devonish, he just dropped it on the grass a little bit, skates across the grass and gets out of the way. We're on board with Greg Nangle now, or looking at Greg Nangle, sorry. He's some 7/10 up on his personal best from his last lap. 4/10 off the top time. Let's see what time he can produce. There's a very respectable 4th in the last race. And he hands in a 22.7. That moves him up to 6th on the pecking order at the moment. Heath Dixon set up in the garage. He's posted a 22.8. He's in the pits with Derpy Dan and Ott, and as I say that, here comes that number 3 out to try and set another time. 9.5 minutes remaining in this session. Greg Turra through the final 2 turns. He's going to set himself up for another flyer. Here he comes on the main straight. Let's have a look and see who is on the move at the minute. Greg Nangle improving on his PB again through Sector 1. Baker comes to the line. We haven't seen much of him all night. He puts himself in a respectable 8th on the grid at the minute with a 23.8. But there's still some time in this track and still plenty of time to achieve it. I'm looking to see if there's anybody on track that hasn't set a time yet, and Philip Boak, Dwayne Davies, they're yet to set some times. The spread of the field is actually pretty good at the moment. It's not as large as what it was for qualifying 1 last time. It's only 2.7 seconds between the first place car and the car in 18th, with 2 cars yet to set a time. We've actually just lost another car from the server. I'm not sure who we've lost, but hopefully they will return very, very shortly. But we have all cars on track bar Mr. Walsh at the moment. Brian Walsh and the Bob Jane Team Art entry currently in the pits, and David Keane just returned to the pits now as Walsh takes to the track.
And pretty tight down there around 10th place. I improved by, I think, 3 or 4 tenths and made up four positions. So it's pretty tight up there, just behind Baker there.
It is. The gap has just widened now to 3.4 seconds, with Jake Maloney popping in a 21.2. So he's getting closer and closer and closer to that 20.9 that he did in qualifying 1, and just separating himself a little bit from the guys who are chasing. And here he is on screen now. Let's see what he's up to. Fortunately, little timing that we have, thanks to Z1 Dashboard, doesn't have anything to do with the sector splits that these guys are doing. Jake Maloney coming to pits, and we have had that 22nd, that 21st car return to the server. So 2 men yet to set times. These 2 guys here. Dwayne Davies, who's on track here, and actually he's the only man yet to set a time, Dwayne Davies. Philip Boak just across the line to set his best time so far at 22.9. And it was good enough to pop him up into 10th place, but Dwayne Davies on the run to the last 2 turns. Safely navigates curve 0. And onto the main straight. This isn't going to be a stellar time, but it's going to be a time nonetheless. Where does it pop him into the grand scheme of things? It pops him up into 18th, so with a 24.1. Jake Maloney coming out of the pits for yet another crack. He obviously doesn't feel that a 21.2 is safe. Corey Ott's now dipped into a 21.6. Hobbo's down to a 21.8. Johnny to a 21.9. Good to see him popping up on the timing sheets a bit to the better improvement than what he had in qualifying number 1. And And let's cycle through the field from top to bottom as it currently is. Jake Maloney, he's on an out lap at the minute, so hopefully we'll see him dive under that 1 minute 21 barrier again. Hobbo 88, he's up in second. He's actually just leapfrogged Corey Ott, and he's done a 21.5, and that's probably why Maloney doesn't feel safe and has gone out again, because he knows that this man can pull something out of the bag, and there's still 5 minutes available to do it. Corey Ott, he's coming in the main straight. He's looking to set another time. What can he do? He sets a... oh, no, he didn't improve on that last lap. He actually still done a 21.6. He's pulled over the side of the circuit. Johnny on his way to the last turn, so this is not going to be a truly representative lap for him, but Drew's going to wind himself up and have another crack. Greg Nangle, he's currently fifth, the 22.4, excuse me.
Oh, and Will Devonish has spun on his lap.
Brock Harvey just smoking all tyres into the S's in sixth, so he's 1.1 seconds off the pace. Will Devonish parked in the garage. He's marked up in seventh.
Caught up to Kingshot, who had a moment on his lap and then spun it in the penultimate corner.
Oh, wonderful. Heath Dixon, his best lap so far is a 22.6. He's going to look to wind up, and he was one of that gaggle of cars that was in that 22 bracket where a lot of guys were very, very close in qualifying one. Just over 4 minutes remaining for him to set another lap. Derpy Dan's moved up, so he was 13th last time we checked. He's now moved up to 9th in that purple and white number 33 car. Greg Tara's down the board a little bit. He's in 10th on the run up through 3 and up to turn 4 right now. I apologise if you can hear some incessant meowing in the background. That is one of my cats who is not very happy.
Wants your attention, Nether.
Wants everybody's attention.
Bit of clear track. Rounding turn 1 and my out lap.
Just having a look at the on-track map, there's not really many people that are on top of each other according to the live timing.
Doing a good job of spacing everyone out.
Everyone's doing a relatively good job at the minute. There's Matt Williams on screen. He's currently sitting in 11th. They're smoking the wheels here into turn number 9 and turn 10. The tricky braking zone on the way into that sequence of S's. And he's not that far off his PB, but we're not going to make an improvement on this lap. Here's Stairs. Moved up the order from qualifying last time, so found a little bit of pace. He's on a 23.0.
Definitely more time in that.
Definitely more time in that. And
it was 9th when I crossed the line, I think, and dropped down to 13th in no time at all, such as the size of this lobby and the times people are setting. They're very close.
They are close, and the track is ever improving. Maloney's now dipped down into the 1 minute 21.1, so he's nearly 4 tenths clear of Hobbo on a 21.5, and there's only 2 minutes left. So if anybody wants to, if you're not on track in the next 30 seconds, you are pretty much done for this session. And there are a few guys parked already. So Maloney's parked, so too is Tara, Devonish, Keane, Aussie and Walsh. They're all parked, so they're not coming out for any more laps anytime soon. Here's Baker. Baker on the run to the start-finish line. Can he improve his time? No, he does not. And he's one of those guys that red hot on Stairs' tail. Only separated by 14 hundredths of a second, Baker and Stairs. Baker, another representative from the ARW guys. Lee Sanford making time on his lap. Just leaves a little rooster tail in the way there, as we see Matt Williams in the background gallivanting across the grass on the exit of turn 5.
Oh, I've just had a moment. That probably lost me 3 or 4 tenths.
With David King shot in the other purple 33 car on the run up to turns 9 and 10. Grant English, this is not going to be a representative time. So I've only got just under a minute left in this session.
Time for one more lap from myself.
Yep, if you are coming to the line in the next 45 seconds, you will have an opportunity to set another lap if you have enough fuel and enough stickiness.
Oh,
in your
and I've
tyres.
completely fucked turn 1. Sorry, I've completely made a hash of turn 1.
Made a right hash of turn 1 and of your verbiage.
That's it. So I will finish, drop back to 15th in that. I reckon.
We've just seen Hobbo go to the top. Hobbo's gone to the top and parked it. He's done a 1:21.123. He has cleared Jake Maloney by 200ths of a second, or 2100ths of a second. So that won't please Maloney. He parked himself, thinking that he had it done. Corey Ott improves his time, but not by much. And he's on a 21.6, so he'll wind up third on the grid at this stage, unless somebody else can improve. Johnny, the only man who can improve, but he's some 35, 3.5 tenths of his time, and he's done as well.
Indeed, and
who's still on track?
Means I've dropped back to 16th with that, so not a great deal better than my first effort. Everyone's improving.
Greg Nangle does a 22.1 that lap, so his best one of a 21.9 stands. Who else have we got sitting on track that's coming down to finish a lap? Brock Harvey's in 9th. He's on a lap at the minute, but not terribly close to what his best lap time is. Who else we still got on track? We've got Greg Turrow still on track.
So shout out to David Keane, who says he's watching the live stream while he waits. So, g'day David Keane. Hopefully I don't stuff up your race.
Yes, and that is all. I think is Greg Turrow still on the circuit, I think. Yes, he is. So Turrow's just coming through the last 2 turns now. He's on the main straight. Can he improve this time? We haven't seen what the splits are. He's currently 11th. And he goes up to 8th, so a last-minute improvement for Greg Turrow, and that jumps him above Dwayne Davies and Brock Harvey and knocks those guys down another spot. So, a very, very late time there.
Indeed, he's ever improving. We saw the pace that he had last week in Sandown, and obviously late to practice, so didn't get quite as much running in this track that he would have liked. But that speed, like riding a bike for old mate Greg Turrow, he's finding it back in droves.
Absolutely. And
I'm realising how I probably should have made a visit to the bathroom before this, but nevertheless, we will push on.
We will push on. It's only a 20-minute race. Hold it in.
Hold it indeed. So taking to the grid about 40 seconds away. Once again, reminded of just how bloody tight this grid is. And we saw what happened on the first race. Cars going somehow sideways before we even got to turn 1. So that was hopefully something that we don't see in this race. Or maybe, hopefully, if it is something that happens, it's not something that I get myself caught up in.
We're just waiting for the last few cars to come onto track. There they are. Someone flashing their lights. Obviously, they're keen to get going. We can't.
I think that might have been David Keane. It was someone behind me.
Someone behind him. But this time it's a swapping of positions. It's Hobbo on the pole.
I've jumped the start somehow. I forgot the clutch button.
The lights are out.
I think I've got away with it.
Very clean start this time. Hobbo got a very good launch. He's on his way down to turn 1.
Goodness.
He won't have it out of his hands this time. But it is a gaggle of cars. Look at this. Are they going to give each other enough room? Or are we going to see a repeat of what happened last time?
I think they've got through cleanly. It was terrifying to witness.
Oh, there's a little bit of push and shove with Devonish and one of the 80, and looks like it might have been Dwayne Davies. But and Matt Williams going out on the grass there, and a little bit of there's a bit of a knock. Baker had a bit of a knock of Brock Harvey there as they all make their way. And Dwayne Davies just getting a bit of a bump and going deep at turn number 4. He got a little bit of help there. But we're just looking through the field just to make sure that nobody has come to grief. And fortunately, it's a much cleaner start than what the race start was last
Oh, dearie me.
And we're looking back through the field. It's still a gaggle of cars here.
Certainly wishing I'd put my spotter on.
Brock Harvey. Oh, smoke ahead. Who's that smoking up a storm there? One of the 82 cars is David Keane.
You'll never believe who's directly ahead of me. The same guy with Dwayne Davies, who's just gone wide on the penultimate corner and given me a bit of a look, maybe, up into the final corner.
And as we return to the front here just to see what's going on, so Hobbo leads. Maloney's tucked in behind, so too Coriot. Greg Nangle's just keeping tabs on what's going on.
Oh, someone's gone off the final corner. I didn't see who that was.
And we're looking to see who's gone off at the final corner, and it looks like it's Aussie according to the timing screen and the track map. Is it Aussie? It is, no, it's Boke, sorry, Boke. It's a bit of an overlay there, but it's Philip Boke who is right at the very back and struggling to catch up now. Now, Hobbo 88, he's doing his best to hold off Jake Maloney here. Coriot's also under the rear wing of the second place Porsche. We're going to stay with this battle for a little bit because it was absolutely scintillating in race one between all of these guys. Hobbo basically driving in his mirrors to keep Maloney behind. We won't be able to pass him through here. This is turn 7. That's a flat out right-hander.
Derby Dan making the position up on Brock Harvey.
And,
for 14th, sorry, it's 14th and 13th place there.
14th and 13th is correct. And Greg Nangle's keeping tabs on this. There's a lead, and Johnny's actually trying to keep in touch. Heath Dixon just dropping away a little bit, but this could be an interesting battle now. Lap 2 is about to be in the books for these leaders, and they've got another 13 to go. Hobbo's just trying to stretch away, but on the main straight, he just seems to lose a little bit of time to that number 42 car of Maloney behind him, and closes right up on the race here. Oh, a little bit of brake locking for Hobbo, and leaves, missed the apex entirely at turn 2, gives the man behind him a little bit of a run.
Oh, there's smoke, okay, there's dirt, someone's off at turn 1, it's Grant English.
And is English at turn 1, that is correct. We can see that from the timing screens here. And Hobbo and Maloney still...
Nice move, Brock Harvey up the inside.
At each other's throats here.
It's a huge battle here. And this is all for 10th, 9th, 8th. Incredible.
Let's see if they can navigate this safely.
Oh, too much curve.
Hobbo going defensive into turn 9, now into turn 10. Getting plenty of airtime.
Oh, and someone's down my inside. They're going to take someone out. No, they're not. It's Grant English has somehow recovered.
Now this is where Jake Maloney's been strong. Off of the last turn, he seems to get all sorts of an advantage from those last 2 turns. Gets a much better exit, and you can see on the timing screen he's closing in, closing, forever closing in. He needs to be a little bit closer than that if he wants to have a nibble into turn number 1. But we're going to cycle back through the field here. We're going to see any other battles that are going on up and down the field. And look at this gaggle of cars. It's headed by David Kingshot. He's got Kingshot, he's got Baker, Derpy Dan, Brock Harvey, and Grant English there.
Oh, Keen's spinning in front of me, and so is English!
Yes,
on the car that made it through without spinning! And there's a car up my inside in turn 2, but he's backed out of it. It's Dwayne Davies.
Yes, and Grant English arrived. Just as we heard that from his stairs, we cut down to the picture just to see what was going on, and English recovers. He's gone right to the back of the pack just about. He's down to 20th. And there are some fantastic battles going on. As we go back to the top here, Kingshot heading up a 3 or 4 car train. These guys are also going to be playing for keeps. Maloney has gotten past. We get reports here that Maloney's gotten past Hobbo, and he has. We didn't see where he did it, but he's not done it on the usual run to turn number 1, where he did his passing manoeuvre in the last race to take what was first place then and the eventual race victory. But now that he's got an exit, you'll see he can just maintain the status quo, and he does a 21.3 for a fast lap. So obviously
beautiful.
He gained a massive amount of time somewhere on the circuit, or Hobbo made a mistake and let him through. But we cut away from that action before we could actually see the passing manoeuvre. And now Hobbo's got a battle on. He doesn't want to let that number 42 car get away.
No, he doesn't.
Coriot is just dropped back a little bit from those leading 2. He's got Greg Nangle for company, keeping him honest.
Derby Dan's just had a moment at turn 1, dropped off the back of Brock Harvey.
You can see on your timing screen there, Philip Boke has had a drive-through penalty issued by race control for him. He did stop. He's actually just exited the pits, so no doubt that's a pit lane speeding offence. He's Looks like he's gone a lap down as well
Disappointing for him.
in all of that. Johnny's keeping his nose clean here as he locks up going to there. He's being chased by Heath Dixon, so Dixon losing a bit of time to him at the moment. Greg Tara driving a lonely race at the moment, so he's a couple of seconds back of Dixon.
Well, Derpy down at the moment at the chicane.
He's got daytime between him and Kingshot, and the train that seems to have just lost Derpy Dan at the minute. But as we cycle back, you can see that Stairs has got a having a bit of a look here at Derpy Dan.
Oh, and he's locked up.
Turn.
We're going to be side by side out of the final corner.
But Stairs has got the high ground, and Derpy Dan's going to try and get the slipstream here.
He certainly will.
And we'll watch with interest to see what happens here. Is he going to make a move? He pulls out, but do you think better of it? He does back out of it, and Stairs takes the position. So Stairs up to 11th place.
Just a tantalising group up ahead. We've got Brock Harvey, Baker and David Kingshot, I believe, in that group.
That is correct, and it is headed up by David Kingshot, but Brock Harvey getting up underneath on the inside of the exit of turn 4 here, but Baker's got the high ground here for turn number 5.
And this is all helping Stairs.
Harvey rooster tails in the grass, and but somehow, and he goes deep, he's on the marbles. Baker back up the inside. Fantastic bit of racing, these two giving each other space. Harvey takes the position as they come up through the left-hander here, turn 8, now into turn 9 and 10 through the S's, and that is the position secured for Brock Harvey. He's up to 9th. Rooster tails and leaves a bit more on the exit, and Stairs has actually closed in after all of this is said and done because of a little bit of battling that was going on. So this train is possibly going to get a little bit bigger because Stairs is bringing with him Derpy Dan, so we could end up with a 5-car train if they can get themselves in order. Dwayne Davies just sitting off the back of that. He's not as quick as the guys ahead, but with all the squabbling that's going up on ahead, could very well give him an opportunity to catch on to the back of that train as well.
I think we just had a moment for Baker. I saw him wiggle in turn 1.
Yes, he's just lost touch with Brock Harvey here after that little bit of a battle on that last lap. Harvey still using the dirt, and everyone locking up the brakes into turn 4 at Miolo as they...
Such a long corner.
It is a very long corner as it switches back 180 degrees on itself. It's not a typical hairpin. It's a very at a medium speed corner, but you've got to get it right. This is the head.
Oh, Baker's gone wide, so is Stairs.
Car on the inside of the grass. I was just trying to see if I could see who it was, but we've cut away from that shot now.
I've made up a position there.
So if you've made up a position, I'm just trying to work out who it was. It looks like it was possibly Greg Nangle because he's reporting as retired. So
disappointing for him.
Very disappointing. He was up in 4th place and doing extremely well behind Corey Ott. Must have just made a mistake somewhere, but everybody moves forward. 1 position. Greg Tara now occupies 5th place. He's got Heath Dixon ahead. He's trying to close in on him. The gap is 2.1 seconds, so that means Dixon's up to 4th. But there's daylight between him and Corey Ott at the moment for 3rd place, so he's just trying to keep his nose clean here. And young Dixon, after what happened to him last race, where he ran out of tyres at the end, he was in a solid position and just ran out of boots at the end of that race.
Just made up the position on Baker there, turn 1.
There we go. So right you are. You've moved forward to 9th place for Stairs. Baker tucks in behind. In behind him is Derpy Dan. So this little 3-car gaggle pushing on towards turn 6. And just ahead of them, Brock Harvey, David Kingshot. And Johnny's dropped back a little bit here as well. So he is... as someone leaves a cloud of dust ahead.
Greg Nangle's retired.
Nangle, having retired, has moved down the order, but he's marked as 20th. Boak will overtake him eventually when we get to him getting his lap back from him. But just returned his battle up front. Maloney has lost out somewhere around the track to Hobbo. Hobbo's come back at him and retaken first. We didn't see where it happened, but it has happened. And now Maloney's got to get the pass done all over again. These guys had a very clean battle in race number 1, where there was only one exchange of position, and then that was done and dusted for that race. Maloney went on to win and win comfortably. As we see Maloney pull out from behind the car ahead of him, looking for a move, looking for an opportunity. He's gnawing away on the back bumper. He'll almost be eating it for dinner at this rate. He's that close. But Hobbo maintains his advantage on the run through turn 8. Now the left-hander for turn 9 and the right-hander for turn 10 at the S's, and now this other right-hander. It's only half a second between those guys. Maloney's just dropped back a touch. Can he get the slingshot out of the last 2 turns, which he's been so good on all night long, all day long if you're going off the wonderful daylight on the server. But no, Hobbo's actually stretching his advantage.
Oh, and Kingshot spun. Kingshot spun at the chicane there in front of Brock Harvey.
There he is. He's recovering to track now. Oh, just recovered to the track just as Dwayne Davies shot past. That's a very, very unsafe rejoin.
Oh, and Brock Harvey at the final corner. And goodness gracious.
Harvey's gone. What's happened to Harvey? He's parked in the middle of the track.
Final corner. He spun it out of there.
He has retired. That moves Dwayne Davies up to 10th. What on earth happened to Brock Harvey? What did you see, Stairs?
I saw me spinning at turn 1 after all that. Goodness gracious me. This is not ideal. Try and safely rejoin, hopefully. And I've only lost 2 positions. Someone spun in front of me. It's Dwayne Davies. Behind me, sorry.
In behind you. He has spun according to our screens, but if you can tell us what you saw of Brock Harvey, it looked like he had an absolute pants-shitting moment.
Yeah, out of that final corner, he just looks like he lit up the rears. The tyres giving up a little bit less grip, or giving him less grip than he expected them to, and I was up into 7th momentarily, but back down to 9th after I had my own pants-shitting moment, not 10 seconds later.
Oh dear. Well, you keep trucking away there, because we're going to rejoin this battle, and at turn on the run to turn number 1, Hobbo's still holding off Jake Maloney behind him, who has another little look at turn 1. This is lap 11, so they've got 5 laps to complete before this race is over. But this battle at front certainly is not over. Coriot is got daylight between him and this leading duo.
I think Baker and Derpy Dam are side by side going into turn 1 by the looks of it.
Let's have a look down the field. We're going the wrong way on our stream, but they look like they were. But Derpy Dan has gotten ahead of Baker, according to our on-screen visuals here.
And hopefully they can hold each other up a little bit more so I can catch back up to them, because it was a fun battle with them.
As we have a look through the field here, Greg Turra got the lights on. He's trying to hunt down Heath Dixon. The Dixon's up into 4th place, but he's not making any ground on Coriot at the moment. Coriot just watching these 2 guys out front just disappear ahead of him. Jake Maloney looking for another thing. Oh, and Hobbo's gone wide at the last turn. These guys are side by side down the main straight. We've rejoined at an appropriate time. There's overlap, and Jake Maloney is got alongside. He's drawn alongside. Is he going to? Who's going to yield? Is either of them going to yield, or is it going to be a calamity? They're going side by side into turn 1, and forces Hobbo to go wide. They're giving each other room. Great racing, and Jake Maloney just got his nose in front, and he's got it in front for turn 3. He had to make that stick there. Hobbo definitely couldn't have closed down on him through turn 3, and now through 4. Oh, Hobbo's had a moment.
Oh no!
Just had a little moment on the wiggly. He's managed to save it. But
going into turn 1, Baker and Derpy are also side by side once more.
And Hobbo had an absolute fistful of opposite lock at the exit of turn 4, and a little wiggle there for Jake Maloney. But Maloney's now going to run away. He hopes by the sound of things. And there's 3.5 laps to go. Can Hobbo get back onto the back of him? Oh, as we see one of the Bob Jane T-Mark cars going through the grass. That looks like it is possibly Brian Walsh. It is Brian Walsh in the 777. So he's now gone down a lap. But the battle may be over with 3 laps to go for first place if Hobbo can't put in a few stonking laps and catch back up. These tyres on these cars will be starting to hurt.
Look like we're about to, sorry to interrupt you there, Nether. We're ramping up for round 3 of Derpy Dan versus Nether as they go into the final corner.
Derpy Dan versus Baker, right you are. And Baker holding station through this last turn. Derpy Dan not quite close enough by the look of it to get a slipstream or any chance down into turn number 1. Stairs just sitting back here hoping these guys can give him a little sniff.
Oh no, was that...
Baker's had a moment!
Was that contact?
Had a moment. No, I don't think it was contact. It didn't look like it was contact.
Tank slapper.
There. It could have been a bit of a tank slapper, but at the end of the day, it's Baker who tours the grass at turn 1.
Oh, and Derpy Dan's wide. I think he's going to pull it up though. And someone's up behind me. Kingshot's catching up too.
David Kingshot is catching up. Lee Sanford occupies the 10th place.
There's a Bob Jane T-Mark car on the infield there. I think it's Johnny. And Derpy Dan's going to catch him.
It is Johnny. We've just cut back to him just from recovering from the infield of the track. He was having a bit of a lonely old race in 6th, but this now makes him want to drive in his mirrors for the next 2 laps. He's got a bit of a battle on his hands to keep Derpy Dan and Stairs behind him. And we're just looking at our timing screens to see if Maloney and Hobbo are closing in on each other again. And it looks like that has maintained. And Johnny having another wiggle. And is that going to give these guys a sniff?
Double slipstream here.
They're too far back from the back of Johnny.
They are. Johnny's doing the old Rambo line. The Hamilton's jink from one side to the other. Hopefully it won't distract us.
He's into turn 1 here.
Oh, and it looks like I'm up the inside here. Can I hold it? He's round my outside. I'm going to give him room, obviously. Yep. But will I be able to do this one flat like I have before? I need to... Oh, he's backed out of it.
He backed out of it. Derpy Dan gave Stairs the room.
And Johnny giving me a smoke screen. I'm up into 7th. Can I get 6th? Oh, it's all kicking off here, isn't it?
It is all kicking off. Let's have a return to the front of the pack. Oh, as we've seen... Who's that? No, it wasn't. I thought it might have been Corey Ott for a minute touring the grass, but it's not. It was the other 82 car of David Keane touring the grass just between turns 11 and 12. Corey Ott's had a little bit of a lonely old race watching the 2 ahead of him just kick on. Maloney's now got a 1.3 second advantage as the final lap commences. And this battle's now closed in a little bit. Heath Dixon's just been maintaining a steady pace, but Tara's been trying to catch him. Those lights on, and he's 1.4 seconds, but he's not going away, Greg Tara. He's just hoping that Heath might make the same mistake that he made in the last race, but young Heath will be looking at his dashboard going.
Oh no, and I've underfueled. I'm out of fuel here at the start of the last lap. And I'm coughing.
It's a slow lap. It's a slow.
I'm completely out of fuel.
Number 17. And he's just going to be able to tour it in and hope that he can get around.
It's no chance. Oh, the engine's dead. It's just coughed. I didn't realise. I must have forgotten to put the fuel back up, and that is desperate luck because I was up into 7th place there with a good chance of 6th. So. Oh well, we live and fight for another day, I suppose.
Well, Stairs a shame is Derpy Dan's joy. Derpy Dan moves up to 7th. Jake Maloney just backing off a little bit on this last lap. He's going to take race number 2, so it's back-to-back wins and a round win for Jake Maloney. He crosses the line first, Hobbo 2nd, and Corey Ott takes 3rd. Heath Dixon is managing to hang on here through the last 2 turns. Greg Tara couldn't quite get close enough, and that's going to be a wonderful 4th place result for Heath Dixon. Probably his best finish in the Super Series so far.
Nice job, Heath Dixon.
And Greg Tara finishes 5th.
What a race. That was incredible.
Johnny for Bob Jane T-Mars number 77 at a little bit of a moment on the exit of the last turn. And he comes down to finish 6th. It'll be Derpy Dan for 7th. David Kingshot in the other 33 purple and white car will finish 8th. He kept his nose clean for a change. Lee Sanford promoted up to 9th with unfortunate misfortune of Stairs. Rounding out the top 10 is Matt Williams. Then we've got Will Devonish, and he's been chased by Grant English, 11th and 12th. Dwayne Davies, the 13th. Baker will finish 14th. He was well up the order for a little while, and unfortunately, a couple laps from home, had a little incident at turn number 1, which dropped him a bunch of positions. And Aussie, now the last man to cross the line. He's 15th, and the remaining guys behind have been lapped or have not finished.
Well, we hope we'll be able to have a chat with Heath Dixon after his best result in this particular championship, and what was looking like it was going to be my best result up until that stage. I had targeted a top 10, and I was well up there before my miscalculation came to bite me in the arse, which incidentally is something that Heath Dixon is known for doing every now and then, but not on this particular occasion.
Not on this occasion. But your race 2 winner is Jake Maloney yet again, and the top 3 are the same, I believe, in a different order this time, because it's Maloney from Hobbo 88 and Corey Ott. So the same 3 guys that occupied the podium positions in the last race occupied the positions in this race as well. And for us, that is the end of tonight's Super Series races. Hope you enjoyed watching. And unless we get any appearance from Heath Dixon in the next couple of minutes, I think that is us done for the night. What do you think, Stairs? How'd you like your first encounter in the Super Series?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It certainly rewards people who stay on the track, which, having witnessed 2 of the races so far, that was my strategy going in, considering I had no pace at all. But I certainly did gradually begin to learn what I could and can't do around the track, and realised that in the first race I hadn't actually put on fresh tyres from the start, so that certainly came back to bite me in the first race. Fresh tyres in the second race certainly made a difference, and just keeping it clean had me well inside the top 10 before I ran out of fuel.
And the track evolution did go up a little bit over the course of that race as well, so probably helped the tyre wear just a little bit, not quite enough, but just a little bit. And we didn't have as many retirements that race, but we still did see quite a lot of people touring the infield throughout that race. What was your experience battling away with some of those guys squabbling very, very close proximity to each other?
Yes, it was quite scary at times, because I think one moment that I'd like to go back and watch again was when I was heading through turn 1 and 2 cars spun in front of me, and avoiding them while trying not to spin myself was really quite a desperate moment, one might say. But I got through that and lived to tell the tale.
Well, it doesn't sound like Heath Dixon is with us at the moment. So
No, Heath is here.
Oh, Heath has made it into the box.
Heath has made it into the box.
Heath, congratulations on your best result in the AMS Oz Super Series.
Thank you. I've said to my compatriots across that line, I've never been so happy for 4th.
Yeah,
it was like a bit of a lonely 4th, wasn't it?
You had to fight for it.
You had to fight late. You had Greg Turra closing in on you towards the end of that
Greg,
stint,
yes.
but he had the lights on. But it was daylight between you and that leading trio. That leading trio just seemed to check out, and those positions were secure pretty much from the minute that the green flag dropped.
Yeah, they're all. I know at least 2 of them are the V8 Scops online guys. So they're big time sim racers. I don't know about what was the guy who came first?
Jake Maloney.
Jake Maloney. I don't know what his deal is, but he's obviously got some pace.
He's definitely got some pace from what we saw. He was the only man during quali. He only did it in qualifying 1 to dip in under the 1:21 barrier. He did a 20.9. So that was in qualifying 1. His qualifying 2 was a 21.1, but he got supplanted by Hobbo on qualifying 2 by 32 hundredths. So
right, okay,
very, very, very close between them. But both of those guys have definitely got some pace.
You won't mind me telling you, I've got to go have a word to my pit stop guys. I started the race with the same tyres that I qualified on.
Oh,
yes, I came a cropper with that in the first race, and led to a spin at turn 1.
So on lap 2 or 3, whatever it was, and I realised that my tyres were down to 85%. I thought, hang on, there's something not right here. Yes, I've not gone on fresh tyres. So,
So they're making the job even harder for yourself.
I just trying to stay ahead of Greg there, of GTAS, and that's why I said I've never been so happy to get 4th, because I had to work for that.
It sounds like you absolutely did.
Indeed, Lee. Just getting some word in from Brian Walsh. He's just been dumped on Tinder, but on the upside for him, he could be Steve Smith.
Oh dear, and we won't go into that very much, will we? Because we know that that's an absolute farce at the moment.
It's a minefield.
It is.
Yes.
Well, that is us done for Super Series tonight, and thank you very much to everybody for watching, and for those that took part, and for those that are going to watch the stream later. We will see you next time.